on both sides of the Gulf.
Let's speak now to Sultan Barakat, who is Professor of Public Policy at Hamad bin Khalifa University and Associate Senior Fellow at RUSI. Very good to have you with us to help unpick not only this Truth Social comment from President Trump, but also the Iranian reaction. The American president saying that he's had good and productive talks with the Iranians. They're saying that's not happening. There's no contact at all. What do we actually know about diplomacy at this level, and what talks have been taking place, and between who?
Well, it's not surprising that the Iranians would say no, while President Trump pretend to have some deal going on, because we have had that before. I mean, at least 2 or 3 occasions since the 7th of October, Mr. Trump has made up a scenario which turned out to be not quite there. I think the very original threat he made is a very strange and odd one, because it does involve war crime. Hitting, power plants and energy centers that are benefiting largely civilian population is not something that you go about announcing so publicly that this is what you intend to do. Now, the postponement could be maybe that he is having a rethink. It could also be he's delaying it because he's not ready yet, not necessarily to attack the plans, but maybe to deploy the Marines that we understand are on their way to the Gulf. And I suspect that he has his eye on the 2 or 3 small strategic islands that define the sea line through which the ships go into the Strait of Hormuz. The Americans may be thinking that they can seize those islands, and by seizing those islands, they will secure the strait. But the biggest irony of all of this is that the fact that he's made the threat has contributed to closing the Strait of Hormuz practically, because now no insurance company is willing to allow ships to go through these waters. And that has led to a real crisis. So it could be a number of factors that made him to rethink, including the hike in the oil prices after the threat. It could be that he is genuinely engaged in conversations, which now the Iranians deny, but you never know what's going on behind the closed doors. Or it could be simply that his advisors suddenly advise him that this is a major war crime. You don't want to be talking about it and threatening it so publicly.
Sultan, can I ask you about one of the things you raised, the Marines that are on their way, boots on the ground in that part of the world, that kind of escalation, when they may have to stay for quite some time. How does that change the dynamic and the scale of what is happening there and the risks in that part of the world?
I mean, without degrading totally Iran's ability to use missiles and attack from the mainland, any attempt to seize and occupy islands will be totally disastrous, I think, for the American soldiers. Of course, Israel will not contribute boots on the ground, because Israel already says to the American, we're busy in Lebanon. But those islands, they are contested and have been contested between the United Arab Emirates and Iran since 1971, when the UAE got its independence from Britain. As that independence was being announced, Iran moved in and occupied those islands. And it could be that Trump sees it as a way to bargain with the Gulf states to get them to be involved in the war. Maybe that he will ultimately pass on the sovereignty to the United Arab Emirates. But again, even in that scenario, the Iranians have come out and they made direct threat to the United Arab Emirates that any attempts to capture those islands will mean that Iran and UAE are in direct confrontation.
Sultan Barakat, very good to get your thoughts as always. Thanks for joining us.